fish named Upload. He was slow, couldn't cross a stream without buffering. Then Ting rode in on a unicorn made of lasers and perfectly symmetrical speeds. No saddle, just confidence. Ting said, honest, fast fiber. No contracts, no surprise fees. And handed me a shiny metaphor to drive the point home.
Winter is coming. Make sure your car is ready with Carry Car Care. Family owned and operated, they'll keep you safe on the road all season long. Give us a call at 919-380-0040 to schedule your winter service today, or visit us at carrycarcare.com. Carry Car Care. It must be right, or we'll make it right.
Hi there, and welcome to What's Up Wake.
Spend your day is the only way. Take a break with What's Up Wake. Ooh, What's Up Wake.
Presented by the publishers of Carry Magazine, Wake Living, and Main and Broad, What's Up Wake covers the people, places, restaurants, and events, essentially all the cool stuff and great news of Wake County. I'm your host, Melissa Wistahuff. Join me as we find out what's up Wake. Today's episode of What's Up Wake is extra sweet. And no, that's not just the sugar talking. If you've spent any time in Cary, there's a good chance you've heard of or tasted Asali Desserts and Cafe in McGregor Village. This gourmet sweet shop and coffee house is dripping with heart and culture. I'm thrilled to sit down with one half of the dynamic duo who owns the hotspot to talk about the story behind the sweets. It's such a treat to welcome Hanadi Asad of Asali Desserts and Cafe. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I want to first talk about how you got started in the bakery business. Okay. So a little bit about your past and also the name Asali and where that came from.
Okay. So how the name first came to be was my husband's and my last names combined. So this is credit goes to him for coming up with that, and it just flowed and sounded nice. So this was done like 2001, trademarked and done, not thinking that we were going to do it immediately, but aspired to one day have our own place.
So this has been an aspiration for quite some time.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So that's how the name came up. It's combining 3 letters from my last name, Asad, and 3 letters from his name, Ali. His last name, Ali. So we have a joint A in the middle.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then, so
and it sounds pretty too. Yes, so that's a bonus.
And I was like, it's perfect. I love it. I love it. This is, his major contribution to Asali, I would say, because the name is
that's an important. Yes, it is a very big. Yes.
So I'm grateful for that. How I got in is, I was working full time, but I always kind of dabbled into like presentation and design and art a little bit, and with food. It was very important for us, like presentation. So I don't have much of a sweet tooth, but my in-laws do. Our family doesn't really do a lot of sweets, but his did.
It's probably good that y'all don't. Otherwise,
he does. He definitely does.
Okay.
But from my side of the family, we didn't do too much sweets. But, I kind of started doing custom cakes, and it gave me an opportunity to design and the artistic avenue for, the desserts that we do, in between kind of having kids. So it's like I stopped working, my career for a little bit to be home with the kids or just, the daily grind of motherhood and everything.
Definitely.
So I kind of started doing that. I, did my licensed home kitchen and just did a little bit here and there. And that kind of slowly grew with the Mediterranean desserts at the markets. And then back to full-time working, and then just keeping the desserts like here and there for small orders, until we reached a point of like, okay, either we go for it or I continue working in the pharmaceutical industry. So that's in 2014, I kind of made the decision, 2015, sorry, that I'm just going to go for it.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work out.
That's a big transition, though,
Yes.
from pharmaceuticals to art, essentially art. Have you always been artistic? Did you grow up drawing and sketching?
Yeah, I actually was like wanting to do some art majors, but my father at the time was just like, what are you going to do? You're going to be a painter. Artists are not given as much credit, especially like like overseas.
Okay.
In the Mediterranean culture.
Yeah.
They want the doctors, the engineers, the scientists, the mathematicians. And I came from, parents who were educated and wanted to make sure that we all followed in that.
Yeah. Well, I think, and now you're a parent as well as I am. And I have a son who's about to go to college that I can't even talk about. But I think I can understand it from a different perspective now, and that we at least want you to have something to fall back on.
Absolutely.
Have the education to fall back on.
Yeah.
But happiness, we see, is the most important thing in life.
Yeah.
So
I don't regret doing the pharmaceutical stuff, because every job, every career should teach you lessons.
Yeah. And it's a stepping stone for where you are now.
Yeah. So I say talent, and like you can be good at what you do, and you can excel in your talents regardless of, what your current career is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talent is something that's kind of in you, like studying and pursuing like certain degrees. It's something you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Where talent comes from within, I feel like.
Yeah.
So the artist, I think a lot of it comes naturally to people, the arts.
Yeah. And not to me. I mean, I feel like I'm definitely a creative person, but get me to sit down and paint something, and it's not going to be considered art.
No, I always wanted to do things with my hands.
Yeah.
Even though, I did well in school and the STEM stuff. I still really enjoyed doing that. I always found a way to do something at home.
So you were able to turn your passion into a business, but you started at home first for what, 20 years almost, it sounds like, out of your kitchen, your home kitchen?
Was it 2000 to about 2015? Yeah.
Okay. So then
15 years.
you opened the storefront in McGregor. What was your biggest, I guess this is a twofold question. What was your biggest kick in the pants, per se, like to go for it? Because it does take a lot of courage to stop doing what you're used to and what you're good at to open a storefront. And also, what was your biggest challenge?
My biggest kick was a local incident that happened to some people I knew very well. And I realized, like, life is too short. It was tragic. And I just was kind of done being afraid. And, it was a big decision. It affected us immensely. But, it was for me, that I feel like really pushed me to like say, okay, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do in this life, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. The biggest challenge in it is not having anything to really kind of lay the groundworks for this type of business. I mean, obviously there wasn't anything in this area that I could kind of try and replicate or observe and learn from. It was more international kind of inspiration, because we didn't have like a gourmet dessert shop in this area.
Yeah, and yours is more kind of European, Mediterranean style desserts. So you're right. I can't think of another place in town that has anything like that.
Yeah, we had like the donuts, the ice cream shops, and stuff, but this was
and
more
the
of
regular
a gourmet.
bakeries with cakes and treats.
So I didn't have it like a guideline of like, this is, I had to research equipment. I needed to research like locations and design layouts, how the flow would go. So that was a bit challenging.
Challenging, but exciting,
But
I can
exciting.
imagine.
And I knew that like, it doesn't have to be perfect from day one. And that was something we keep doing. We still do today. Like, we're constantly moving things to make flow work, to add equipment. So you have kind of the basics, but then you can modify it. So
And the artsy side of you, I'm sure, was excited to start something new, and really not have an outline in place.
Yes.
Because you
'Cause
can
then-
really make it your own.
yeah, you can pivot, change, do whatever you want. Yeah.
You kind of touched on this a little bit, but I do want to mention you were named as one of our 2025 Movers and Shakers, which is an award honoring local business owners who leave an indelible mark on our community. This is the part that I found really fascinating. In your interview, you said that you had to block out outside opinions in order to have the courage to open a cafe. I found that to be a very poignant statement, because the same can be said about any big leap in life. Like I mentioned, my son's going to college, and he's having to decide now which college he's going to choose.
Yeah.
Same to be said, anybody leaving one career like you did for another career. So what do you say to someone who has always had a dream, but they're finding it hard to, silence the doubts?
Just listen to your heart and know yourself. It is a big commitment. So if you are driven and know that you have good willpower and strength to keep going and not listen again to like the negativity. Really do block it out. Like, listen, but you don't have to follow. I think it's important to listen to people's opinions and ideas and worries, and because that brings, makes you think about it. Like, okay, if this does happen, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I always say, like, go for it, but make sure you are constantly thinking. You don't just do something and just like, okay, this is the only thing I'm going to do. I don't have a backup plan. You're constantly learning and thinking about pivoting and adding or changing.
And what to do if this happens, what to do if that happens. So I guess it is a good thing to have, the negative Nellies in your life.
Yes.
Because it does open up that side of your brain thinking, okay, well, that's actually a good point. What do I do if such and such happens? But don't let that stop you.
Yeah. Don't let it weigh you down.
Well, and if you're passionate about something too, that's what keeps you motivated, I can imagine.
Yeah. And I say, to some people a lot of times, it's like, listen to everything, but filter. In one ear, out the other for some things, in one ear, and process, take or leave. After, you process the information.
That's a good piece of advice. I mean, some people have the filter that's needed on the mouth.
That's true.
And you're saying you need the filter on the ears.
Yes.
I get that.
It goes both ways.
That resonates, yes.
Yeah.
So you're a mom, first and foremost. You mentioned that. How many kids do you have?
I have 5.
Oh, 5 kids.
5 kids. Yeah.
How old are they?
23, 21, 17 this week, 14 and a half, and almost 12.
Okay, so you've gone through this period of life that I'm in right now.
Yes.
So we'll stick around afterwards. You can give me some advice. But are your children involved in Asali?
Yes, they are. They helped us back in the day with farmers markets and, packing up and working farmers markets. Some of them, not obviously all of them, because we're not doing them right now. When we opened the store, they were helping, even little things, I think it's important to teach kids work ethic. That doesn't mean they don't get paid, they don't get rewarded. I bring them in, they do stuff. As they've gotten older, obviously, they've played a bigger role.
Yeah.
People are, whether they're the barista or bakery staff or cake decorator, they're pretty artistic too.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they inherited your art skills.
And my husband's artistic too. He can draw really well. So they've done a little bit of everything. I don't want them to feel tied to it and that they can't venture out.
Yeah.
That's really important for me. Like my daughter's graduated. She's done business and marketing, and she's working with us and helping tremendously. But I'm also encouraging her to look at other things because you're going to learn something different. So you can go explore. If you choose to come back, that's great.
You're always welcome.
You're always welcome. And then obviously with COVID, some of the younger ones were a little bit more affected, and we pushed them to be in there, and like they resisted initially, but then, like my daughter said, thank you for making me do this because it helped me get over my social anxiety.
Yes, I think that it has been a big thing that we're seeing, a few years out of the fact that the social skills and social anxiety was really hindered for our kids back then. Yeah.
So, it's important. It was important for me to involve them and bring them in just to teach them just that aspect of the business, if anything.
Hey, it's me, your heart. It's about our future and your choices. Because that belly, that diet, that gym you never go to, and those cholesterol levels tell me you're not making the right choices. What do you say you and I get together with the heart and vascular docs at WakeMed? Up to you, your choice. But it just might determine how much time we get to spend together. WakeMed Heart and Vascular. Your heart, your choice.
Welcome to Podcast Carry, professional podcast studios with more than 50 shows making podcasting simple and fun. It starts right on our website. Pick a time that fits your schedule, tell us what you're working on, and we'll take care of the rest. You focus on the conversation. We handle everything else. Because starting a podcast should be fun, not complicated. Come see how easy it can be at podcastcarry.com.
Your family is Palestinian, is that correct?
Yes.
How does your cultural background influence not only what you bake, because I mentioned it's a lot of Mediterranean desserts, but also how you might run the business?
Being generous with your guests. That is with your, with their presence, with your action towards them. It's opening the door, making them feel welcome.
Yeah, feel at home.
So I feel like I really have done that at Asali, and I hear that from a lot of our customers, that they just feel at ease
and comforted, comfortable.
Welcomed into the space. It's not like, we interact with them on a personal basis, not just in a number coming in and out. And I think that's part of the culture. Making sure to listen to what they're wanting or enjoying, to make sure that we continue to provide that, whether it's like the ambiance, the music, it's just a welcoming environment at Asali.
And really for everyone, because I've been, and it's not like this is a Palestinian bakery or hangout. It's everyone is welcome, like you said. And what you're saying to me is reminding me of an interview that I did with the chef and the owners of Tamasha, an Indian restaurant in North Hills. They were saying also in the Indian culture, it is very much in their culture to welcome everyone in their home, and everyone is treated like family and always made to feel at ease. So it sounds very similar.
It's funny because one of the things that I struggle with is sometimes, when you have guests or something, we can't tell somebody, okay, you come in at 7 and you need to leave by 9. That is not acceptable. They leave.
That's
when
what
they
I want to do when somebody goes.
All right,
it's time to go now.
Yes, my husband will be like, okay, we want to have invite. Is it rude to say? I'm like, yes, we won't do that.
Can't do that.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
Obviously at Asali, we have to shut the door at some point, and people do linger, and the staff is, always asking what do we do? And you start subtly making changes to make them aware that we are
Turn the
definitely
lights
closed.
off and start locking the doors, and then they'll get the hint.
Yeah. So I think that's where it's like the Palestinian culture is very generous and welcoming.
Are there certain desserts that you make that are truly from Palestine or Palestinian desserts?
Since it's like the whole Levant area, that maybe the makeup of the recipe is slightly different from one country to another within the Levant, like Lebanon or Syria or Jordan. Like the harissa is one, for example. There's many versions of it. This is how my parents made it, or my mom. So that's, Palestinian for sure. But it could be a different town in Palestine that may do it slightly different.
Oh, interesting.
Just like maybe add a little bit of extra cinnamon or something like that.
It's kind of like, or really not at all like North Carolina barbecue. I can tie everything back to some sort of food.
Southern.
But, depending on where you go in North Carolina, the barbecue is going to be different.
A little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of to tie that back to us. So we mentioned that many of the treats at Asali are European or Mediterranean desserts. I came into the shop this morning and I looked like a poster of a child in a candy shop because my eyes were just huge looking at all they're stunning. These desserts, they look like you should not eat them. They're so pretty.
Thank you.
But I am a sucker for cheesecake, and there was a baklava cheesecake. So you have desserts like baklava and other desserts from that we really don't consider, Southern American type of desserts. Do you have a personal favorite at the cafe? So I'd be in trouble if I worked there or if I owned it. I'd be in big trouble.
Thankfully, I don't have a huge sweet tooth. So, I'm a big coffee drinker, but I'll tend to kind of lean to the less sweeter options. I like dark chocolate.
That's my husband's favorite.
Yeah, I like something with a little bit of a dark chocolate, which would be like the Aska, which was actually the first dessert that I kind of made under Asali.
Oh, okay.
That was the very first, that's what I wanted to try out. And, I did it different than the same my mom's recipe, but I was trying to present it differently.
Artistically.
Yeah. And to make it easy to repeat and have consistency in the presentation. So the Aska is got a dark chocolate, like ganache with some cookies. Or the chocolate tahini. Very rich, but again, not very sweet. So it's a dark chocolate with a little bit of tahini for creaminess and the crust. Another option would probably be the tiramisu, which is a little bit different. So my twist on the more Mediterranean rather than the Italian is we use Turkish coffee, which has cardamom in it. So that's what we soak. And then we make our own genoise. So we don't, use the ladyfingers in our tiramisu. And we've kind of pivoted and made it gluten-free. So it's a nice light option. And again, it has the coffee that
and not so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has the coffee. So I love it.
What advice would you give to someone if they were to come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about starting a small food business of any type? What would you say to them? I love to encourage people to do that. But I also tell them the reality is it's not easy. So if you're the type that quickly gives up, it's probably not a good idea. Yeah.
You have to know, in order to succeed, you have to continue, whether it's one thing works right then or it doesn't. It's consistency. It's kind of like when we, started opening earlier. Maybe we didn't have enough customers initially, but it's building that consistency. So you have to be consistent. You have to keep doing And you can change it a little bit, but you can't give up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can't just quickly give up. If you're the type that tries something once and it doesn't go your way or doesn't give you the result that you want, then I would say don't do it.
I mean, because once you open the doors, it's you've already put in so much work.
Yes, yeah.
So you really need to see it through.
Yeah. It's a big commitment. And there's going to be, days you have to be in it to learn the whole business. You can't be, I don't know, maybe there are, but I don't see many businesses or smaller businesses where you just open and you're not involved as the owner. Because if you don't know certain things, then, nobody's permanent.
Yeah.
You can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to make sure everybody's running the show and I'm going to step back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You really do have to know how things, whether it's point of sale systems, electric work, making certain things, you really need to know so that you can
and the books
help
and
your
the finances,
staff.
everything behind the scenes. Yeah.
And help your staff. Like you need to be able to lead people to be able to be successful.
Yeah. And I would also think that your employees and everyone else can sense your passion for what you're doing, and they feed on that for sure.
Yeah.
So what would you tell yourself if you could go back in time to before you opened the storefront? If you could go back and talk to yourself, what would you say?
Honestly, I don't believe in changing what has happened because I feel like that is the path that was meant for me.
Yeah.
I know that I learned certain things from my previous career. I know that it was maybe best for me to open at this time due to my family, my kids at their age. So I'm the type that just trusts the time, I don't think I would change when I opened. And my husband always says, what if we had opened? And I'm like, I don't like the what if.
Yeah.
I don't like the what if. I'm just like.
Because you also can't, you can't expect the curveballs like COVID.
Yeah.
You guys opened right before COVID, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, who would have saw that coming?
Yeah. And so that's where I feel like, the not giving up and not being afraid was the factor that helped us overcome COVID, and I feel like even COVID, some people are like, COVID opened. Now that I think about it, honestly, I feel like COVID was probably not good for us, but it helped us in a way where we had to close our dining. We weren't as busy. So I was able to learn a little bit more.
That's very true. Take a step back. Yeah.
It didn't get rushed with so much stuff that I don't know how to do or manage. So it was nice because I didn't have to deal with, dining and how do we, get people in and out and stuff like that. So, there's a blessing in everything.
What is next for Asali? And then what would your husband say is next? Because, our husbands, I feel like they're in the background going, well, you should do this. You should do this. And you're like, you do it.
Yeah. No, he's very supportive.
It does sound like he really is your cheerleader.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he works full time. So he's, he helps when he can. And
I introduced you to this episode saying you're one half of the dynamic duo, and you are. I mean, but
yes.
But day to day, this is your baby.
Yeah. Earlier on, he was a lot more present. Now it's like, okay, smaller things that I need. Can you help me with this? And then we discuss what's, like you said, what's next for Asali, or what's the future look like. Obviously, our space is, it's not very big. Eventually, hopefully, we can expand. The last couple of years for me, honestly, for personal reasons, I couldn't think of growth. I experienced loss, and it just changed things for me and put perspective on what's important, and that family's the most important thing. So, now I feel like 2026, you don't forget, but I'm trying to my creativity is coming back.
Good.
Like I'm slowly returning to the Hanadi that I
yourself.
Yes.
Feeling more like yourself. Yeah, good. Good.
So, I mean, it was funny because even I can see the last few weeks, like, okay, I'm thinking, and last night I went to bed saying, I'm so tired, I'm going to bed. And as soon as I put my head on the pillow, like ideas started popping up. And I was like, okay, I need to write these down. I need to work on these. And I was like, okay, there was like 3 new ideas that I kind of wrote out some action plans for them. And I, from my phone, I printed it. I told him, print the stuff, go pick up the stuff and put it near my bag. So this morning I took it into Asali and was sharing it with the staff. So it was just like, okay, yeah, this is me.
Good.
This is me. The like thinking and trying to come up with new things and, ideas for new, customers coming in. And as far as growth, it's a tough one because there's several things, again, being Palestinian. It's been a rough couple years or 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just don't know what the future holds. That's where it's like there's a little bit of that fear coming back.
I do believe you have created a space that, like you said, is so welcoming, and it's something that is needed, not only in your culture and your community, but in our community as a whole, because the more you get out and meet other people from other cultures, that is so important.
It's beautiful.
And
that's what I love about Asali. It's very diverse and open.
Yeah, yeah.
But obviously there is hate in this world, and we've experienced some. And even my kids, like my 17-year-old daughter yesterday was like crying because she just kind of was like not sure what the future holds.
Yeah.
We're going to keep going.
Good.
But there's a little bit of hesitation on what we can do safely, comfortably.
Yeah. Well, it is one thing to take on some fear when it's only yourself. But when you bring in your kids or, outside community, I'm sure that does add a much deeper layer of anxiety.
Yeah.
But we want you to forge ahead.
Yeah, we're going to continue. It's
continue,
just like working
yes.
on that like inner like slight fear.
Yes.
Which I started Asali because I said I don't want to be afraid anymore. But,
sometimes we're tested, and it's what you do during that test that really predicts how you're going to be in life. Well, we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
And like I said, I was in there this morning and the place was bumping but it was also, it's so pretty in there, and it's also so comfortable. So you've really hit a perfect mix.
Yes, thank you.
So everybody visit Asali in McGregor Village in Cary and say hello to Hanadi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to What's Up Wake with Melissa Wistahuff, presented by the publishers of Cary Magazine, Wake Living, and Main and Broad. Follow them on social media at Cary Magazine NC, at MB Magazine NC, and at Wake Living Magazine. Visit each magazine's website at carymagazine.com, mainandbroadmag.com, and wakeliving.com to check out the latest digital edition of each magazine and find pickup locations. Be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review to help others find us. Music provided by Angie Bagley and Chris Bagley. This show is produced by Podcast Cary.